Oh, good morning. I'm Kathianne Lewis. You are great. You get to watch the CBEC choir. We really do want to get a little bit of that CBEC energy on you because it's a wonderful experience. Not everybody can go. We were filled up. I think next year there will be a waiting list, so plan for it now, third week in August. Lots to say about that, but I do want to share something with you because we did a lot more than just singing. There was some really great stuff. I wish I could give you little snippets of all of the workshops and all that kind of thing, but what really calls to me is that I share with you some of the very best of our talent show, and that usually came from Peter Hanna, and so here we go. Why did the turkey cross the road? It was the chicken's day off. Why did the turtle cross the road? To get to the Shell station. I know, it's groans. You know what? He likes it. I'm feeling abused, so I will stop. We all take rejection differently. Nah. You know what? If you can't laugh in church, where are you supposed to laugh? Because frankly, life is either funny or depressing. And it's all just life. It's just how you look at it. So we're here to laugh. I love laughing. I had a great time, Peter. Thank you very much. It was fun. Very much. So we have two things to do right now, or a few things to do. First of all, if you could love me for the cross the street jokes and get over it, and you're new, and you love our choir, and you like what we talk about, then there is a connection card that looks like this. I invite you to pick it up, fill it out, return it to me, and you'll be part of our extended cyber family. You may wonder where to get this. There's a lot of them in seat backs in front of you, but if you can't find one, there's always some in the offering basket as it goes by. So fill this out, return it to me, and we'll make sure that you're on our extended church community. And that means that you'll get a spiritual practice. It also means that you'll get advice, like we send out things like how to overcome depression, how to deal with things. And we also send out information about the events because we really want to support you, and no matter what you're going through, we want to be of support. The other thing that I want to say is that if you have a smartphone and would like to sign into CBEC, no, not to CBEC, but Facebook, let people, yeah, I want to go back to CBEC, but anyway, I'm here. Be Here Now. Oh, that sounds like a good book. But I encourage you to check in. Eventually people will ask what you're doing, and you can tell them, I go to a church where laughter is okay, God is good, and so am I. And I'm here to learn spiritual principles so that I have more good in my life. So things like that. And the other thing that I want to share with you is that we want to walk our talk, and here is our walk and our talk. It is that everyone born is just as important as anyone else who was ever born. So instead of honoring a few people, we want to honor everyone. So if you're having a birthday, we want to honor you. So if you had a birthday last week or you're having a birthday this week, stand up and we'll give you a gift. Oh, look at this! To you, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. I was flirting with my favorite boy. Hold him up. Yeah, we flirt. Yeah, we flirt. I was flirting. You caught me. He's so cute. So just take a deep breath. I'm going to call upon you to do something incredibly sacred and important. And to do that, what you're going to do requires a recipient. So I'm going to invite up Reverend Deborah Gay. And Reverend Deborah, on Tuesday at CBEC, was ordained. So it's our opportunity to praise and raise her. But before we do that, because we've done that before, and I haven't really told you how important this could be. in past traditions, there were people who were set aside, who were given the opportunity to bless and to uphold someone else. And since we, if God didn't create any special people that we celebrate just their birthday, and we celebrate everybody's, really we should know that we can all be the ones that bless. So I want you to know that as of this moment, you are ordained to speak the word of blessing. You're the one that gets to do this. That your word has power and potency. It can be thick with true goodness. So with that in mind, please stand and take on this sacred assignment of praising and raising Reverend Deborah, so that she really gets the full blast of love that's possible in this room. And we'll do it this way. Deborah, we praise you and we raise you in the name of love. And we praise you and we raise you in the name of love. And we praise you and we raise you in the name of love. And so it is. Oh.
So let's breathe that beautiful prayer in. Holy, 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 I am, I am. And so in that prayer, it contains everything. It contains the knowing of the one life, the knowing that we are each a part of that one life, that we are all in this web of life together. And yet, too, we are each unique and perfect ones. And so we know that together, that we are surrounded by holiness, that we hold holiness within us. And now as we walk through our world, we see this beauty of the holy creation of this planet. And then we turn to each other, and we see that holiness in the other, so that we reflect back and mirror that love that is within each of us, that perfection that is within each of us, waiting for the right moment to move through us. For we are each born for this purpose of being a channel for this love, being a channel to move through us, lift us up, and then connect with each other, to lift each other up in love. And that is what community is. That is what spiritual community is. That is what in Hawaiian is called ohana. Ohana is family. Ohana you can lean into in the hard times and the good times. And so we are ohana together this day. And it is good. And so repeat after me your knowing of this truth by saying, and so it is.
It's wonderful to have that kind of experience, and I hope that we shared the enthusiasm with you, something that happened, and yet it was a kind of a different sort of experience. It wasn't like a vacation, because most vacations feel otherworldly. Like I go someplace and it feels like it's something else. It's hard to imagine Disneyland as the real world, for me. It's hard to, I've gone places and I have a great time, but it's an out of the ordinary time. It's an out of normal time. What's interesting about Seebeck is that it was great, but it still felt like it could be normal. It didn't feel not normal. You kind of get what I'm saying? Which I think is what made it exceptional. It was so normally wonderful. For me, it was a description. The thing that I can often say about it is that it's heaven. I talked to someone last night who had been watching my Facebook posts, and he said, "Is CBEC really that good?" I said, "You can't even imagine. Nothing I could say could tell you how good it is for me." I mean, I'm just talking about for me. That it is heaven, the closest thing I know to heaven for an extended period of time. So while I'm in heaven, there's this other thing happening. Because once in a while I would be posting on Facebook, and then I'd see other things happening on Facebook. And it seems so odd that I was in heaven and the people in Ferguson weren't. Many of them weren't, couldn't be. Even if they're not participating in anything. Even if they're not policemen or the family of policemen, or were they protesters or the family of protesters, you can't be in heaven when there's that kind of conflict going on. How many of you have been in either families or offices where two people are going at it, but they try to keep it on the down low? But you just feel the tension? It's not heavenly, is it? It's not fun to be in that kind of consciousness. And so I was really looking at what is it that we were doing that created one experience and others are doing that's creating another experience. Because I think it's important to study what's working. And I think this is new for us as a human species. Because for a long time, at least for as long as I can remember, until just a few years ago, most scientists studied what didn't work, especially if they were studying the mind, personality, behaviors. Now they're actually studying what works. I was reading about a gentleman who just started a new school at Stanford where they're studying the science of compassion. That's great. We're studying now the science of happiness. We're studying the science of goodwill and health. We're studying what works. And so I wanted to start studying what is it we were doing at CBEC so I knew, like, maybe I could bottle it. I need another job. Here, take this pill. Really, I mean, we should know. Otherwise, it stays at CBEC. And I have to wait for my CBEC hit or my heaven hit once a year. So these are the things I came up with. You may be able to add to them personally, but see if this doesn't work. Like, you can't see that this was happening. And then maybe we can bottle it. Number one, there's inclusion. Community itself means common unity. There's inclusion. Not so much, not just incorporating, but also in honoring that incorporation. Honoring our common unity, what we have in common. Because we are more alike than we are different. There is a practice that some of the teens did. By the way, there were 34 teens at CBEC this year. Now, and a bunch of tweens, and this is our future. They're growing up, and when I listen to them do the service on Wednesday, I'm thinking, we are in such good hands. We really are. But one of the practices they had, and they were talking about this, so it's not a secret, is that one of the first nights, they stand in a circle and they talk about what's true for them, and then others that have the same truth step into the circle. So you could see that, other people are having similar experiences. And that helped the one person that was talking, the one young lady who was talking, it helped her realize that she's not alone. She didn't know the other 33 people. This was her first year in teen group. Can you imagine what it's like to walk into a group where most of these teens have been together for a very long time and grown up together, and then you're the new one? But it melted when she saw, oh, I'm this way, you're this way, you're this way. So let's just do that. Let's just have a CBEC moment. This is a CBEC moment. How many of you have ever lashed out at anybody? Raise your hand. You're spiritual. How many of you have ever felt just numb? How many of you have ever been afraid? How many of you have ever lied? How many of you know you've been lied to? Oh, you have more energy on that. How many of you are going to practice forgiveness about people that lied to you? Yes. How many of you have ever felt unworthy? How many of you have ever been aggressive? We have a lot in common. We have a lot in common. So, first of all, a community needs to notice that most people have similar wants and needs at a deep level. Now, I might be aggressive, but my aggression takes a different turn than other people. I may have lied, but my fib is nothing compared to that. Do you see? But we still, at a deep level, we have similar wants, fears, desires, and inhibitions at a deep level. Unites us, and yet we're not the same. Everybody has fingerprints, but they're all different. We have a lot in common, and we have so many differences, so we can't go around pigeonholing. We can't say, well, they're at this group, so they're like that. Actually, cloning, if we all dress the same, I beg people to wear cowboy boots, but do you know? But cloning doesn't work. It's phony sameness. We can't all wear white or wear red or wear orange or sequins. And then say we're the same. We have to really honor our differences. So at CBEC, we had athletic people, we had crafters, we had learners, we had gamers, and we had people who just rocked in the rocking chair all day. And it was fine. Actually, when we try to make everything the same, we dummy it down. I am around a lot of animals, and that happens with a lot of animals. When anyone breeds for a particular trait, then you breed out the other good traits. I knew this about dogs, and I found this out about one of my own horses. I have a horse that's of many colors. It's a paint. It's called a paint. And it's got white socks and black on its legs, and it's mainly brown. It's got a black mane with a white stripe, and it's just it looks like a clown, but it's called a paint. And I have this new trainer, and I'm learning to ride this horse, train this horse. I'm learning to train this horse. And she's saying things like, well, paints are usually slow to get it, but when they finally get it, it's really great. And I'm going, really slow to get it, huh? So I asked my farrier what she might have meant. I said, Monica said that paints are slow to get stuff. Oh, yeah, they got a reputation of being as dumb as bricks. I said, what? And she said, oh, yeah, about in the 80s when they started breeding for color. That's all they bred for. They didn't care if the horse had talent. They were just going for color. So all of the traits of skill and talent went away just so that they'd have a certain look. Isn't that interesting? When we go for sameness, we lose. We lose. All of us, society, families, we lose when we think that sameness is a good thing. And it's also true about us as individuals. We don't need to be the same. Who were you last week? You don't have to be that this week. You can change in an instant. We can change. I had this experience of people pigeonholing me. I went kayaking. Second service, I love you. First service, there was gasps. Really, literally. I said, see? In fact, actually, I came back one afternoon and I told one of the women at CSLseattle that I'd been kayaking. She said, "You kayaking? You're kayaking?" I guess I'd been pigeonholed that I don't do things. Do you know what it takes to ride a horse? We pigeonhole. And then we think that because someone was that way, that they're going to be that way. But there's always variations in their personality and who they're becoming. I had an experience a few weeks ago of being changed in an instant. And what happened was I had done something in my head. I confess, I had been judgmental. And I know now they gasp. Gasp, go, oh, yeah, thank you. I feel better. And it wasn't just, it was ugly. What happens for me now is when I get those ugly feelings, I feel ugly and my body responds. And so I wanted to give it up. But I didn't think I could give it up. I actually found myself saying to myself, well, you've been this way for a long time. This is a really hard judgment to give up. And it's almost like I wanted to make myself feel really, really, really bad for judging before I could move on. And this other part of my brain, which is, I think, the higher self of me, said, you know, you could be changed in a twinkling of an eye. And then before me came the story of Jesus on the cross and the thief. That's what they called him. They called him a thief. We don't know what he stole, but he's a thief and he's also being crucified. And he's saying, I'm really a bad person and I shouldn't have done that. And you're a good person and I'm really bad. And Jesus said, oh, today you'll be with me in paradise. Like, oh, I don't even care. It doesn't matter. You don't have to do anything. It's done. You can be here. And in that moment, I dropped what kept me in judgment, which was my guilt about judgment. Guilt holds it. Guilt is the best glue ever. Truly, if we could just package some of this stuff, it'd be great. When you feel guilty, you glue that trait to you. Guilt has to go first, and then the trait. So I gave that up. Variation, change, it can be different in a twinkling of an eye. The other thing that happens with community that I've noticed, at least I think it's been happening at CSLseattle, is that there's contribution. See, it's not just participation. A bunch of people that are different and yet the same can show up at a Seahawks game and participate. But if the team wins or loses, sort of determines how they leave the game. But when you contribute, you always feel good. Contribution is a way to get the energy of the group flowing through you. There's a wonderful practitioner in our church. His name's Jeffrey May. He's an accountant by day and a counter of children at CSLseattle. That's what he says, I count children. Uncle Jack was there jumping in when he needed to. Peter Hanna stayed up late into the night getting chicken jokes for us. Thank you. And trying them out on everyone who would listen, which was also a contribution. Michael Wint likes to kayak, but instead of bringing one kayak for himself, he brought 5 others so other people could go out into the ocean with him. And it was all contribution, contribution, contribution. And I think every one of those men will come back next year because they got more out of CSLseattle than they put in, because that's the way it works. There's a huge difference between doing and contributing. Doing drains. Contribution fills. When you know it's a contribution, there is a filling experience. It's satisfying. So, what's the last thing? See, I think if we go back to Ferguson, people are different, but perhaps they're not honoring those differences, and yet they really are the same, but perhaps they're not talking about that. And a lot of them are participating in different ways. So what makes what we're doing, which I would call a Sangha, which the Buddha called spiritual community? We take refuge in the Buddha, which is consciousness. We take refuge in the Dharma, which is the law of cause and effect. We teach a lot about that in Beyond Limits. And we take refuge in the Sangha, which is a spiritual community. This is what I'm talking about. This sort of thing that happens at CBEC is a spiritual community. It's a big Sangha. So what's the difference between what happens in Ferguson and what happens in a Sangha? I think the last thing that perhaps might be missing is that a Sangha has a motivation. The motivation of a high and a holy purpose. A high and holy purpose. There's a reason they come together, and it's high and holy. It's not just we'll get together and go to the game. There's a high and holy reason behind it, and that also becomes the glue. Just like guilt is a glue, motivation can be a glue. It's actually called, the purpose is called the why. Why are we together? Your purpose is your why, and a Sangha has a why. And I remember forming the seed to CBEC 2 decades ago when what I wanted to experience was heaven. And I wanted CBEC to be heaven. I wanted it to be heaven. That's what I wanted, heaven. And so I watched it unfold. So to tell you when I knew that it had arrived was about maybe 20 years ago, maybe 19 years ago. But I knew we had established heaven when this happened. Many, many years ago, we would have a dance on Friday night, and it would be on the tennis courts. And it was great fun. We would bring in a DJ, and it was just the greatest time. And we had a young man there, in our church. He's since moved to Portland, but his name was Danny Ryan. How many of you remember Danny Ryan? Danny Ryan, Danny Ryan would love to tell you that he was gay. He was gay, and he loved being gay. He loved being out. In fact, out. And now it's kind of out being kind of old hat, but then it was sort of new 25 years ago. It was sort of new, and so he was out. And he'd say, even things at church, he'd say something like, it's easier to come out as a gay person than it is as somebody that goes to church. Which was Danny Ryan. He was so open and honest. Well, Danny Ryan, one evening on Friday night during the dance, a slow dance started to play, and he decided to ask George Gregory to dance. Now, you have to know who George Gregory was. Marilyn's ex-husband. Pretty straight. So, Danny Ryan. George. And then George took his hand, walked out to the middle of the tennis courts, and danced the slow dance with Danny Ryan. And that's when I knew we had seeded heaven. The purpose of CBEC is heaven. And that's what makes the difference between a group of people and a Sangha, is a high and a holy purpose. So I took some time off this summer to really listen deeply. And what I got was, we are playing small. I'm playing small. I have 1 week of heaven and I call it good. What about all the other weeks? I have a high and holy purpose for our church, and it's always been with us. It's always been with us. It's our vision statement. It comes up at the beginning of every service, where we are a community of thriving individuals helping to create a world that works for everyone, or create a better world. We want to do that, to create a better world. That's a game I want to play. I want to provide us with whatever it takes, and I want to be a part of the world becoming better. We do it well. I'm so grateful for how well it happens. I'm so grateful for all of the people that are climbing under cars this morning, doing whatever they can to keep the drips out of Puget Sound. God bless you. I am grateful for people that show up at animal sanctuaries to help out. I'm grateful for people that spend their vacation and their dollars going to the East Coast to help rebuild after Superstorm Sandy. I'm so grateful for all of it. And you know what? That's maybe 10% of us contributing. What I want to hold is that we have a church where we feel so full that we naturally contribute to making the world a better place. Because I think it can do wonders then. And the participation is what will help everybody thrive, because contribution fills. So let's pray. Let's take a deep breath. You know, some people think that heaven is perfect. I'm not sure it is. I think what heaven is being empowered to be our messy selves. I think heaven is being loved as we discover our variations. I think heaven is honoring the fact that no matter what we're going through, others have gone through the same thing. And heaven is a place where we get to give to one another, contribute to one another. I don't think that heaven will be done, because I think that would be boring. I personally do not want to sit on a cloud with a harp or an accordion. But I do want endless possibilities to find out who I am, and endless opportunities to explore creative ways to express the divine within myself. Now that would be heaven. And so I bless each and every one of us right here, right now. I bless us. I give thanks for our common hopes and fears. And I give thanks for our differences, our unique talents, our unique responses, our unique gifts. I give thanks for the way it's all been put together. Thank you, sweet Spirit. And thank you, sweet Spirit, that right in front of me today will be an opportunity for me to contribute to the well-being of someone else. Thank you, sweet Spirit, that right in front of me all the time is the opportunity for me to remember who I am, to get off my story and be the light that I'm supposed to be. I am so grateful that every day is an opportunity to discover the refuge of Sangha. And I give thanks. I am so grateful that there is a motivation in the hearts of so many people here, a motivation to thrive and make the world a better place. Thank you, God, for this. And so I speak my word of blessing for each person here. I speak my word of blessing for the musicians and the choir, the children's program, the tween program, the teen program. I give thanks for all of the young people growing up, being told that if they desire it, they can certainly work towards it, and that the whole universe is behind them, under them, in front of them, around them, and through them. Thank you, sweet Spirit, for everything that goes on here. And so it is. Oftentimes we have our power speaker at the beginning of a talk, but we kind of rearrange things this first service. So I want to introduce to you Al, who is, it's perfect for him to be up here right now, and you'll see why.
Thank you, Kathianne. So what's my why? My why right now is to tell the Seabed Choir that I love you, that you guys are awesome. And I'm giving you all a high five right now. High five. So I started coming to CSL about 10 years ago in the sanctuary, and my doorway into CSL was the choir. I had an awesome time. I felt joy. I heard the message, and I had some fun. So that was my doorway into CSL, and after that I started taking classes and learned spiritual principles and practices. And one of the practices that I learned was the Fear to Faith practice, which brings me here right now. And that practice goes like this. I release my belief in fear. I release my need to be quiet. I'm grateful for the power of God that I am. So I did that getting ready for this 70 times 7 this week, and here I am. So about 2 years ago, I was invited into the CSL choir. I accepted. I've had fun. I've been transformed. I've loved it. It's been great working with the band and working with Beverly. And right now we have about 35 people in the choir right now. And a group of us set down an intention to have 100 people in the celebration choir. And how would it feel to have 100 people up here singing with each other, with you, with the band? I think it would feel awesome. How would that feel? So I'm asking if you would hold that intention with us for 100 people in the choir and a full house participating with that choir. Thank you so much, and so it is.
And we just let the memory of that song, it's such a beautiful song. We let Spirit wash over us. We let love wash over us. Hope, faith, goodness, washing over us right now. And then we let it stay with us. We let it be right where we are. I give thanks that I'm becoming aware that being spiritual is about becoming more porous, letting things in. And so from that consciousness of letting things in, from that consciousness we bless our gift. We let our consciousness and our gift bless this place. And I say, oh, thank you, God, for all of it. And so it is.